Hi everyone, my name is Tyler Adams. I'm the police sector lead here at CPS. Thank you for joining us today for the second instalment of the CPS police webinar series, Copilot in Action, Practical Use Cases for Police Staff and Officers. I hope everyone's looking forward to today's session, and now I'm going to pass you over to my colleague Kat, who's going to talk you through some real actionable use cases that demonstrate how Copilot can support and transform daily work for police staff. So enjoy. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Tyler. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Really excited to be here to show you some of the cool things that we have been using Copilot for amongst our police customers. So today we're talking about practical use cases. So just before we start, a quick couple of intro slides, and we're going to run a quick poll as well, just to kind of see where everyone's at as we introduce the session. So my name is Kat. I'm the head of AI at CPS, and that's Corporate Project Solutions, not the other CPS that we're used to working with. And I've been working at CPS for the last couple of years, and I manage the team of architects and AI consultants who deliver Copilot engagements amongst all of our police customers. I'm also an MVP, and what that means is that I just spend my spare time blogging and speaking at conferences because I'm a bit of a nerd. So yes, if you do have any questions throughout today's session, we have a couple of ways that you can ask. You can use the chat function or the Q&A panel. You should see the chat and Q&A just at the top of your Teams window, and we'll be able to answer questions as we go. We've got a couple of colleagues on the call. We will have a bit of time at the end to answer some questions, but we'll see how we go on. I'll leave the chat window open and see if I can answer as I go through the session. If you do want to connect with me, please feel free to. I love to expand my network, and I'm always posting tips and new things about Copilot on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me, my QR code's there, or if you just search my name, I should pop up for you. So a little bit about who we are. As I mentioned, we are Corporate Project Solutions, and so we are a Microsoft solutions provider. So we deliver Microsoft solutions to organizations across the UK. Today we're focused on Copilot, and I'll talk a little bit about the types of Copilot we're going to be looking at. But we do cover the rest of the stack, which is really great if you are looking at getting on the AI journey. A lot of the time, it's not just Copilot and adoption and building AI agents. Some of that includes things like, security and compliance reviews, data management. Maybe you're using Power Apps, and that integrates with some of the AI solutions you're looking to build. So anything in the Microsoft stack, we as CPS can support it, which is really handy when you're looking at AI, because it usually touches on every bit of the stack anyway. There's just one thing I wanted to highlight on this slide, which is the #1 fast track partner in the UK for Copilot. And I always like to call this out because it's my team working very, very hard over the last couple of years to be the #1 partner. So what that means is out of 40 fast track partners in the UK, we have ranked first in month-on-month Copilot adoption. So we've driven the most amount of Copilot licenses amongst the UK partners, which is a real testament to the hard work that we do, but just showing you that we do have the proof in the numbers if you're looking for a partner to support. A little bit about the customers that we work with. So I talked that we do work with customers across industry. Public sector tends to be our main focus, and you'll see a lot of the forces that we've been working with here. So we conducted a large pilot, with BCH. So we'll talk about some of the use cases that we captured from them. We're working with College of Policing, West Yorkshire Police, and some others on there as well. So we should be in a good place today to really share with you the insights and what we found works well, some cool use cases, how the forces are using it, some nuances that have come up, and all of that good stuff. So hopefully we're in a good place to share our knowledge with you today. So the 3 key takeaways that we really wanted you to get from this webinar is really value beyond the desk. And what I mean by that is we're going to show you how Microsoft Copilot supports back office staff, but also frontline policing. So we're going to look at roles like custody sergeants, investigators, and this is from the pilots that we've run with those forces. So you can kind of see how they're starting to use the tools. We're going to show you the real use cases that you can start to apply now. And these examples are based on real challenges that police teams are facing today. So hopefully you'll leave today with some use cases that you can maybe start trialing if you're looking at implementing Copilot. We will share the slides, and the slides have the prompts that I'm using in my demos today. So we'll make sure you get a copy of those. And then finally, what we're going to cover after we spend a lot of time showing you those use cases is just some tips on building the case for Copilot. And that's part of any engagement that we've done with police is a trial, it's testing of the capability, but it's building that business case for a wider rollout of Copilot. And there are a few key things that we found work quite well when we're capturing benefits, use cases, scaling to more licenses, or trying to scale adoption or reduce shadow IT or shadow AI, sorry. We'll give you some tips and tricks on what's worked quite well. So before I dive into some use cases, I just wanted to run a quick poll just to get a feel for the room and just to find out from you where you think AI and Copilot has the greatest impact on your organization. You'll see a poll has come up here and you have some options. So is it all about automating those repetitive manual tasks? Is it reporting compliance? What about customer service response times? Project management? There's lots of kind of benefits here, but we want to just see where you think it's going to kind of help your force. If there's an option on there that you can't see that you think it's going to help with, feel free to post it in the chat. So if you want to type it out in the chat, the option that's not on there that you're looking at, please feel free to. So you should see that poll. I'm just talking as everyone's filling it out. You should see the poll appear on the screen, and I can just see we've got quite a few responses now. The majority of you are talking about automating those repetitive manual tasks. And the beauty is that Copilot absolutely can support of all of those, but across the forces that we've been working with, absolutely having that targeting those areas has seen the biggest benefit in terms of time saving, and then where that time's being reinvested into. Personal productivity, absolutely. Microsoft 365 Copilot is all about saving, me time and helping me be productive as an employee. So wonderful. Perfect. So automating repetitive tasks is the key theme there. So let's take a little look then what we're going to be talking about today. And I love Chris, I think, or Richard, I'm sorry, I don't know if I think your name's the other way around. So Chris, from a comms perspective, data analysis and survey analysis. And it's great that you've said that because that is part of some of my demo today. So I'll be able to share some of that with you. Some great neurodivergence, absolutely, it's massive. We've actually had comments from staff members saying that Copilot levels the playing field for neurodivergent staff. So from an equality perspective, it's key. So some really good examples in there. Okay, so today's session is focused on, and I'll just play out the slide a little bit. There we go. Today's session is focused on Microsoft 365 Copilot and how we can make the most of it through practical use cases. But as you start to scale AI across your organization, it's really important that we note that we're not just thinking about Microsoft 365 Copilot, we're also looking at the broader picture, which is where Copilot Chat comes in. And you'll see on my slide here, there's a bit of a visual representation of a rollout of AI with the orange icons representing Microsoft 365 Copilot, and that's the licensed Copilot product. I've got a little graph on my next slide just to kind of go through what that means, but Microsoft 365 Copilot is the one that's looking at your graph. It's looking at your M365 data. Copilot Chat is the web version of Copilot. It's still secure, it has enterprise security around it, but it's not able to look at your company M365 data. It's just looking at the web, but it's still AI that can support with different use cases as well. So what we recommend is, as not everybody needs a Microsoft 365 Copilot or be ready for one straight away, and Copilot Chat is it's a nice, secure, governed way of scaling AI access. And it supplements Microsoft 365 Copilot. So what we found is if you don't give your staff the tools, they will go off and find it. And we tend to find shadow AI tools being used because they don't have one from the organization. ChatGPT comes up all the time. You may have seen it recently, the new announcement from ChatGPT is that if you share a response in ChatGPT, it publishes it to the internet so other people can actually Google what the responses are. So that's a huge risk that we don't want people, it's not malicious, but people don't know how to use AI properly. If we give them an AI tool that's safe and secure, they're more likely to use that, which reduces that risk. So Copilot Chat is also one to consider as you're starting to roll AI out to the organization. So just a quick overview of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And before I start showing you some of the use cases, I really just wanted to reiterate the safety and the security of the tool and why we're recommending we use this rather than a third-party AI that's unmanaged. So this architecture slide, if you don't sit in IT, this might look horrible, but don't worry, I'm just going to share some key concepts with you. So this is the architecture of Copilot, and this is the licensed version of Copilot. So this is the one that can go and look at your Microsoft graph. So what you'll see here is Copilot has a few steps. It does a few kind of processing, flows. So whenever I'm using Copilot, it starts by the user prompt. So for example, if I want to ask Copilot to create a job description, it's going to go in and it's going to do some pre-processing and some grounding. And what that means is it's going to go and look at your Microsoft graph. Now, your Microsoft graph, for those who aren't aware, is where all of the context and the relationships between your data sits. So it's not a storage solution, but it's where you'll have all of the information about emails in Outlook, Teams messages, files in SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, meetings, calendars, contacts, anything in Microsoft 365. Your Microsoft graph kind of connects it all together. So what Copilot can do is it can go in and it can look at, okay, job description for a neighborhood police officer. And it's going to go into your graph and it's going to see, oh, we already have a neighborhood police officer job description. This was created this date by this person. Oh, and this also has something to do with it. And this might have something to do with it. So it's got all of those kind of connection points and understanding the context of the information. And it looks at all of that in order to provide you with the best response. And then it will come back and it will generate that job description for you. Now, a key thing to note is that it can only look at information that I have access to in Microsoft 365. So if I go into Copilot right now and I ask Copilot, can you tell me how much my CEO is paid and send me the salary information? It's obviously not going to be able to find anything because I don't work in HR or finance and I just do not have access to that information. And so it's not going to surface me anything that I don't have access to already. What you'll see in here is it does a couple of other steps when it's doing the processing. You'll see it goes through into the LLM response. It turns the AI language into human language through natural language processing. But the other step in here that I wanted to highlight is the ability, the compliance and purview step, which essentially means that if you have implemented sensitivity labels, so if you've got confidential, public, those labels in your data, and any kind of purview, data loss prevention policies, anything like that that you've enabled, Copilot will go and search for that in its content. So if I create that neighborhood police job description, if I've used any information that's sensitive, it will automatically label that job description as sensitive. So it adheres to all of those sensitivity labels. And of course, if I can't view the information because there's a sensitivity label on it, I'm not going to be able to use Copilot on it. So everything is kind of within that service boundary. It's all adhering to your Microsoft 365 permissions. And one other key point here is that it does not train the OpenAI service. And that is a huge difference between something like ChatGPT because it's within your tenancy. It's only looking at information within your tenant. Anything that you're doing or using Copilot for, it doesn't send it to the internet. It doesn't use it to train the service. And so it's all locked within your service boundary. And that's key. That's very, very important. particularly as we are working with large central government organisations, police forces, councils. The customers that we work with deal with very, very sensitive information, and so that is really crucial. So I just wanted to reiterate that as we're kind of starting to show you some of the examples. One of the other key points in here is Copilot will go in and look at your graph, everything that you've got access to. And so what that means is the better your prompt, the better response you'll get from Copilot. And you'll see that in some of my examples in a short second. If I ask Copilot to generate a neighbourhood, police officer's job description, it goes and it looks at everything that I've got access to. So I want to make sure I'm giving it a bit more information and detail in my prompt to get the best response out of it, because it can look at everything. It doesn't mean I want it to look at everything. So you need to tell it that. So hopefully that gives you a bit of insight before we kick off, and sets kind of the scene in terms of the capability of the tool that we're going to be showing you in today's demo. Okay, with that, let's move swiftly on to Copilot in action. What we're going to do now is we're going to show you some examples, and these are examples that we've collected working with our customers, our forces, and we've got some new features that I wanted to show you with some of the agents that we've been working with as well. So we're going to take a little look at some of the use cases that we have come across that have been quite powerful in terms of time savings. Excuse me. So these slides, again, I'm going to share with you because you'll notice that I've included in here the role, what they want, what the kind of goal is, and then we've included some of the prompts as well. And as well as the value and some of the kind of savings that we've seen from it. So I'll make sure all of these are shared with you so you can go away and then you can start using these hopefully in your own trials. So custody workflows. This is something that's consistently come up with all of the forces that we're working with because they're so resource intensive. There's lots of high risk, if details are missed. And so a lot of the teams that we've been working with have found Copilot to be really helpful with cutting the time it takes to do things like preparing remand applications. So you'll see here, we found that we've cut time from 120 minutes to 20 minutes per case. We found that we can reduce the incident summary work from 90 minutes to 30 minutes. Generating chain of custody logs instantly, extracting all of the key insights from case files, and then even pulling through a chronology for safeguarding cases as well. So there's a few different use cases that I've included in this, and that's something important because we don't want Copilot. It's not usually just a tool that will help you once a day or once a week and every so often. It's actually there consistently throughout your shift. And so we think about these use cases as workflows rather than just one use. So it's kind of a task, a process that you're having to do that takes quite a lot of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this end to end. We're going to start with the remand application, and this is going to be for a Jason Michael Turner. That's all made up. So the use cases are real, but the data is not real. So let me just clarify that before I start. And normally it takes like 20 to 30 minutes even just to read and rewrite, for the next sergeant's handover. But what we're going to do is we're going to use this first prompt that you'll see, which is summarize the remand application into a one-page handover briefing for the next custody sergeant, highlighting the charges, evidence, and safeguarding concerns. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get my demonstration up. Now, for today's demonstration, I am going to be sticking in Copilot Chat, the Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. So this Copilot Chat can look at my graph. So it can look at all the stuff I've got access to. And I'm using it in the browser, and that's just because I also am logged into a fake account, so nothing in here is real. But you can use this in Teams, you can use the app on your device, you can use it on the mobile. So this is just the tool that I'm using. What I found is Microsoft 365 Copilot, it is great in Excel and PowerPoint and Word, but when it comes to pulling together concise summaries or looking at multiple different files, Copilot Chat tends to do a better job in terms of the conciseness of it. And when you're rolling this out to people, just a quick tip, make sure that people use the Copilot app that they want the output to be in. What I mean by that is, if you ask Copilot in Word to summarize this remand application, it's going to think you want a document. And if you do want a document, great, but it will usually add a lot more detail. It will include like introduction and conclusion. It will kind of write it as a document. Whereas here, it's going to be a concise summary, is what I found. If you want a PowerPoint presentation, ask Copilot in PowerPoint. If you want some kind of sums and pivot tables and data, ask it in Excel. So ask it wherever you want the response. And there is no right answer. You pick the one that you like the best. So this is Copilot M365 Chat, and what you'll see here is I'm going to paste my prompt, which is summarize this remand application, into this one-page handover. And I'm going to type the /, and you'll notice when I type the /, it actually comes up with this little kind of table at the bottom that allows me to tell Copilot what to look at. So you'll see here, it lets me tell Copilot, look at Tom, tell me all the meetings I've had with Tom, or any meetings I've got coming up with Tom. I actually use that with my boss quite a lot. Tell me what my boss asked me to do last so I don't forget it. Files, so any files that you've used recently, PDFs, Excel, Word documents, PowerPoints. Meetings that you've got scheduled. So you'll see here, I've got meetings with a complaints team. Again, this is all fake information. We've got other team meetings that we've got scheduled. I can ask Copilot to look at a meeting. Emails, if you wanted to look at specific emails, you can do that. And there is a new feature called Other, which allows you to get Copilot to look at Microsoft Forms. So you'll see I've asked Copilot to create a survey about staff feedback on a new system that we created, maybe Copilot. I can ask Copilot to look at the results in that form and summarize it for me directly from the chat. So I don't need to go and open up Microsoft Forms. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to show you that Copilot in Forms a little bit later on. You'll see we also have Power BI in here. So if you use Power BI in your force, you'll be able to actually ask Copilot to help analyze the data and summarize like the dashboard that's shown in that Power BI report. So you'll see I can actually go in and I can target it to dashboards in Power BI, as well as Viva Engage posts. So that's just something brand new that's come out. You're able to now target to other things. The Other doesn't cover Teams chat messages, but you can just ask it in natural language, just look at Teams chat messages, and it will just look at Teams chat. So you can just target it. We can also say things like, just look at emails, and it will just look at emails and not look at everything else. In this particular scenario, we're asking it to look at a remand application. It's a file. So I'm going to type this /. So you'll see I'm typing the /, and I'm just going to start typing out the name of the file, and you'll see the remand application here. Now, I will say from my demo, I haven't been that creative with my naming conventions of my files because I need it to be easy to find. So bear with me as I go through this. But this is an application, it's got all the information in here, and I want Copilot to summarize it in a one-page briefing. And I want it to highlight charges, evidence, and safeguarding concerns. Now, one thing I haven't told Copilot is how I want the information to look. So you'll see I've not said put it in a table, put it in bullet points, just give me the summary. But you'll see it's done a pretty good job. Custody handover briefing, here it is. Here's the suspect details. Again, I actually asked Copilot to write a fake custody report remand application. So, but you'll see history, charges, evidence summary, safeguarding risks, and it's pulled all of that together in a summary. And what I can also look at is the sources. So I'm going to ask Copilot where it found this information. And because I told it to just look at that file, it's just looked at that remand application. Now, if I had gone back and done this and I didn't tell it which document to look at, it would go off and it would try and find it. But then it might pull back the wrong thing. So there might be another remand application that it looks at and it gets it wrong. So you always want to give it that source. So I'm just having a look at the chat. Full license, yes. Sorry, maybe Chris or Richard, I misread your question there. So this does cover, the licensed version covers your Teams messages and chats, but again, only ones that you have access to. Any group chats, any one-on-one chats that you're in. Interestingly as well, while we're here, sorry, I had to digress. This is why I take go too much in my demos. But just on that point, when you type the / and ask Copilot to look at a meeting, say you've recorded this meeting. So we recorded this meeting yesterday. It's going to look at the meeting details, so the agenda, who was in it, any emails that have been sent about that meeting. It will also look at the transcript if it was transcribed, and any chat messages in that meeting. So if there was a conversation going on, it will also summarize all of that as well. So when you tell it to look at the meeting, it really means everything around and to do with that meeting. If you haven't recorded it or transcribed it, it won't be able to show you the transcription. It won't be able to tell you what was said in the meeting. You have to record it. And again, you can only do that with meetings that you've been invited to and that you have access to that transcript. So if somebody from an external customer set that meeting up, I could go and I could ask it questions, but if I don't have permission to view the transcript, it's still not going to be able to find it. So it still adheres to all those permissions. But you'll see it's pulled that together quite quickly for me. So now what I'm going to do, I've got my that kind of quick summary, nice and easy, great. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to, in this kind of same case, I'm going to ask Copilot to generate a chain of custody log, because in the same case, there was a USB device that was seized, and I want to understand the date, time, transfer logs, DFU notes, all of that information, but I don't want to have to manually pull all of that together. Now, the beauty of Copilot being able to look at all of your graph content is that if there's been emails that I'm part of and files and information notes about this particular USB device based on the ID, it will find and pick up all of that information. So it'll be able to pull that together for me without having to search my emails and search the files and all of that good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here and I am going to ask it to generate a log report, but I'm not telling it exactly what to look at. I'm just going to say, look, I'm going to look at everything, because if you don't tell it where to look, it will just look at everything. But it's going to look at where this USB device has been talked about within Microsoft 365. So let's give that a go and that will show you what I mean. I've got some emails that I've sent about it and someone else has sent and copied me in. I've got some documents about it, some notes. I've got the application in here with the content in it. So you'll see here we've got there was a PC officer name not specified. Here's what happened. Here's a transfer to one-on-one scene, and we've got a kind of bit of an action and purpose of transfer in here. Again, this information's fixed, so it's not as long as maybe you'd usually have it, but it kind of can pull together all that information and find it for you. Again, as long as you've got access to it. As well as that, so what I'm also going to do is this case involves it's quite sensitive. It involves indecent images on that USB device. And so there are safeguarding concerns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Copilot to help me to compile multi-agency chronology from police notes, social care updates, medical reports, everything that I have ready for a strategy meeting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell Copilot to look at a specific folder in SharePoint where all of my information is stored. And I'm going to ask it to pull together that concise chronology and pull it together. So let me just open up my Copilot chat. I'm going to paste my prompt in. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in the / And this time, if you want to give Copilot a folder to look at with files in SharePoint, you don't have like a folder option in here. But if you click on the OneDrive icon on the top right, what you can do is you can go in and you can manually search for the files or the folders that you want. So you'll see here, I can choose a site. So these are SharePoint sites. And in here, you'll see I've got my police demo file, again, very creatively named. But in this police file demo, I've got all the kind of all the notes, everything to do with this particular case that I've pulled together. And I'm going to ask Copilot to look at all of that stuff in here and pull together a concise chronology. And I'm going to send that in. So there are ways now, and this is a new feature. Oh, sorry, I've gone off it there. So this is one of the a newer feature. You never used to be able to target it to folders within Teams or SharePoint. Now you can. You just need to make sure you go in and physically find it. I've just seen a quick point in here around Copilot Chat saves everything in OneDrive of responses. Let me just run through your example. How is this going to be managed? So when it comes to like Copilot's not it has information with things like personal identifiable information in it, but the idea is that this is more of a purview thing that you would need to set up. So best practice, you should have in Microsoft 365 for SharePoint, for OneDrive, for Exchange, for Teams, you have tools to manage personally identifiable information. So you can create things like data loss prevention policies. If somebody tries to share, a credit card information outside of your tenant, then it will get flagged or it'll block it and it'll do something with it. You also have retention policies that you can put in place to say, and this isn't a Copilot thing, by the way, this is just a Microsoft Purview thing. You have retention policies. If you have an E5 license, you can actually put retention on data, not just locations. So for example, I'm going to set a 2-year retention period on personally identifiable information in OneDrive and SharePoint and Exchange. So after 2 years, it'll delete it, or it'll notify someone, or it'll hold it and then ping someone and then delete it. You decide what happens with it. If you've got E3 licensing, you can say, I want to keep everything in SharePoint for 7 years, then delete it. So you can still put retention, but your E5, or if you have an add-on, it allows you to target that PII information, medical information, financial, anything like that. There's a whole bunch of templates in Microsoft, but you can create your own. So that's how we would recommend to manage it. It's not managing it from a Copilot perspective. This is just a tool that's retrieving and summarizing your information. You should set it from Microsoft 365, from SharePoint, from OneDrive, using Purview tools. So that's what we would recommend. So whenever Copilot puts something in OneDrive, you've got a retention policy on there, you've got DLP on there, you've got sensitivity labels on there. So it's putting it into a safe and secure location. So that would be some best practices. And yes, your automated retention, James, great point. That's absolutely what we would recommend. Perfect. And I see that most people have answered the question that I've just said as well. So that's great. Thank you for helping each other out. That's wonderful. This is all about sharing information as well. So feel free to keep having that conversation. Can we use Copilot Chat to extract info into a blank template? Using all the info, put this right. So you can to a point. So what I would recommend, we actually have created an agent that fills out a Word template in branding and everything like that. But what we could say is let's just try it. Put all of the information from this folder into this template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it to look at that folder again. So let's do that folder. Now, what I will say is it'll put it into the template, as in it'll keep the headings. But if you want it to put it into a Word template, an agent works a lot better for that. So let me just highlight this. But we can ask it to put it into a template. Let me see if I've got a meeting template. Meeting minutes template. Let's just put it into that and see what happens. So you'll see it'll read the meeting minute template and it will see the headings from it and it will put it into the headings. And then it's a case of just maybe copying and pasting it and putting it into your branded one. We have created an agent that does that automatically with Copilot Studio. So you'll see here's a complete version. So you'll see it's taken the template and it's pulled the stuff into it, but it's not created that Word document. It's done it in this. So I'd copy and paste it. You can get it to create Word documents. but it doesn't keep the branding or the font or anything like that. So I can say now, you'll see it's created the templates, like the data's put into the template. What I can then say is, can you put this into a Word document? And it will do it, it just won't keep branding is the thing, but an agent would, which is quite good. There are other ways to do it. You can do it in Copilot Word, where you open up the template and then select each section in the Word document and then reference the files and say, put this section into here, and it's a little manual. That's why we like to use an agent to automate the process. But it will create a Word document in here. It just will be using standard Word headings and things like that. While that's going through, I'll just keep going through some of these questions. There you go, there's our Word document being generated. I have a lot of official sensitive data stored, be it operational policing matters, Copilot having ISO accreditation. So everything, what we have to think about is Copilot is not a storage solution. It is a search and retrieve AI tool, basically. That's really downplaying it. It's really powerful, but it doesn't kind of store your information anywhere. All it's doing, anything that it creates or generates, it stores into things like OneDrive and SharePoint. So what we would recommend for sensitive information is to make sure that you use what's called sensitivity labels in Microsoft 365 E3 Purview. We can share some links in the chat on that, because when our government customers are using Copilot, their data should be labeled with official sensitive and, you know, the kind of the standard sensitive label versions. And then whenever you're using Copilot, it will adhere to any protection policies you've put over that data. So that's what you need to focus on if you're worried about that sensitive content. It's not Copilot, it's where that data is held. If it's labeled with Purview, if it's got protection policies on it with data loss prevention, retention policies, all of that good stuff. And if it's useful, actually, we've got quite a few questions about this. We would be happy to maybe, saying this, marketing's on the call so they can listen. If a follow-up Purview specific session would be useful, where we can demo some of the labels and policies, if that would be helpful, please let us know, and we're happy to schedule that in. But I'll also share some links on that as well. So with the, I'm just seeing there's quite a few questions on work and web and libraries. I'm conscious of the time. There's a few more I want to show. So I'll maybe spend some time after the webinar going through some of the questions. The main difference between the licensed version and the free version is the fact that this licensed version could look at that one folder that I picked. It can look at my messages, it can look at my emails, it can look at all of my data that I have access to. The web free kind of chat version cannot do that. It can only look at the web, it can't look at content. So that's something to look at. If you are using Agent Builder to build your agents, yes, I would recommend, for the one that I talked about, it's Copilot Studio. Proper Copilot Studio tends to be quite good. Okay, so you'll see it's created the safeguarding media minutes. If I open this document, let me just show you what it looks like, just to really show you. This is what it's generated from asking it to put all of those files in the folder into the meeting minute template. And the template will probably look a little bit different because it doesn't do branding. So I'll give that a little second to open it. There you go. So it's pulled. So do you see what I mean? It's just the standard headings. It's not like in the font or the colors or the branding. So it can do it to a point. It's just I might then put this into my agent to do it instead. Okay. So let me just go through a couple of other examples, because that was just the first use case and we have 20 minutes left. So I'm going to show you a couple of other ones very quickly. These are ones that have come up actually that are quite useful. So the next one is all about witness statements, specifically summarizing multiple MG11 witness statements and putting it into a nice clean MG5 style case summary for CPS, for the Crown Prosecution Service, not for us CPS. And in a real world policing environment that we've worked with, obviously these witness statements, a lot of the time they're not actually stored in Microsoft 365. They're usually stored in like Niche or Athena or Connect or one of your records management systems. And we're looking at ways to integrate with that, but even without integrating Copilot into those systems, the investigators that we were working with still found it quite useful because they could download their witness statements or copy and paste all the witness statements into like a Word document and then ask Copilot to re-summarize it and look at them all. So although there was a little bit of a manual kind of download to then use Copilot on it, it still saved a lot of time instead of manually writing that MG5 summary, which some of the investigators said it could take a couple hours per case, depending on how many statements you've got, and especially if there's lots of them. So some of the forces that we're working with found it really useful to even just start with getting Copilot to pull all of those witness statements into that nice summary. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little look at this so I can show you this in Copilot. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to stay in chat and I'm just going to start a new chat because if I keep the same chat going, it'll get confused and it'll think that it's looking at something that's is trying to pull that police report together and the remand application. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask Copilot to, let me get my prompt up, from these 5 witness statements. Now, there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could put them all in a folder and then tell Copilot to look at the folder. Or in this case, I just wanted to show you, you can do it manually. So I could actually add, you'll see I'm typing in the witness statement, so witness statement 5. And the reason I wanted to show you it this way is because you can reference up to 5 in Copilot chat. So if you've got more than 5, use a folder, but if you don't, you can just do it here. So you'll see here, witness statement 3. And again, I've been very creative with my naming conventions and very creatively called them witness statement 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you'll see that there. So let me just find witness statement 2. There we go. So I've asked it to, from the 5 witness statements, here they are. I want you to create an MG5 style case summary highlighting the main facts, the date, times, persons involved, and supporting evidence. And in some cases, they might have different details in those witness statements as well. So it's kind of pulling that out and analysing that as well. Now, the idea behind this is all it's doing is responsible AI use is you wouldn't just then take this and say, oh, great, that's it. So you absolutely would not do that. You would have to make sure that you're reviewing what it's done and pulled together and just make sure it's checking, sense checking. The actual pulling it together effort, manual effort is taken away, but you still have to be reviewing this content to make sure it is correct. But you'll see here it's pulled together that case summary, main facts, it's pulled through the information here, the witnesses involved, supporting evidence, and then it's highlighted where in these files it's pulled that information. So when you're double checking, this is a good tool to do that because you'll see the citations, and when you click on it, you'll be able to see where it's found that information in that particular file. So you can sense check it this way, instead of having to read all the witness statements back to front again, you can just click on the references and then it will show you where it's done it. So you can actually go and see it and check it that way. So always check sources, always review responsible AI. Your name is on everything, so you can't blame Copilot. So just please be aware of that. But that was quite useful just in terms of that admin task. Came up quite a few times. Okay. So another one that I just wanted to run through with you is the moving away from the investigating case type scenarios. And this actually is looking at more back office support, but also actually this is summarizing or analyzing forms and surveys. So it could be victim support survey feedback. It could be employee wellbeing feedback. It could be IT asking about how Copilot's getting on. You know, from a comms perspective, just any kind of form or survey that you're creating. So you'll see here, we can actually use Copilot in a couple of different ways to support for comms, HR, marketing, creating forms for feedback, and then analysing that content as well. And we're going to use one of the newer analyst agents to support us with this. So I just wanted to show you outside of Copilot chat and some of the new features as well. And thank you. I see Harry has joined. Harry Trainer is one of our AI consultants. Thank you, Harry. We've got loads of questions coming through. So if you want to tackle those as we go through this webinar, that would be wonderful. So if you see Harry, he's one of us and he'll help answer some of those questions. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to, and this actually came up in a use case where one of the HR team, they had about 3,000 results in a survey that they had to analyze every quarter, put it into themes, and then think of things to do, like initiatives to, fix the issues that they were having. Then go to their stakeholder and present that back, and they had to do that every quarter, and they would manually go through that Excel, looking at the sentiment in the open text and putting it into themes and analyzing it. And it took her about 3 days of time every quarter, which is just crazy. So we now changed that whole process from creating the form, reminding people to do the form, and then analyzing the form in a very short space of time. So let's take a look at that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up Copilot in Forms. So you'll see here we've got Microsoft Forms, and when you have Copilot, you will get Copilot in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Forms, and OneNote, and Loop, and lots of other tools as well. So basically, most of your Microsoft 365 estate. And Copilot can help me create a form. So what I can do is I can type in what I want my form to be, and it will pull together all those questions, which saves time if you're not used to using Microsoft Forms. It does it all for you. So create a form survey to gather structured feedback from staff. I want help designing clear, unbiased questions. I want multiple choice. I want open text formats. I want ratings. And I'm just telling it to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the form, and you'll see it's doing it in a couple of seconds. It's going in and it's creating this form for me. It's created 9 questions that I can then go up and I can review, and it's included, which department do you work in? How often do you use the new system? How easy was it to use? And you'll see it's done a pretty good job of doing those questions. What I will do is then tweak it, maybe add some, edit some, delete some, and make it my own. But it's done a pretty good job of pulling together this form for me. And it's not going to stop there. What you'll see at the top is Copilot's now marking its own work by analysing the form, and it's going to suggest areas for improvement. So it's trying to constantly improve. So once that's finished, we'll give it a little second. So I have 3 suggestions for your form. So let's take a look at that. So it says enable receipt and response editing for respondents. So what this means is that people will be able to provide editable responses when they're kind of saying they're providing feedback. You can add a theme, apply a professional and calming theme, because this is just the standard form, green. Boost your response. So this is actually giving you suggestions of where to put your form, and it actually does something where it can send emails for you as well if you want to boost kind of people answering it. Oh, you haven't done this form yet. Can you please do it? So if we do this, for example, if we want to help boost responses to this survey, what it will do is it will create a little target date, and it will create an email. So you'll see here, send an email with a tailored message. It's actually drafted me a whole email to try and get people to do my survey. Dear team member, we invite you to do this survey, and it's crucial that you do it. I need your feedback by the 14th of August. Please do this survey. So it's going to help you through that whole process of creating the survey, reviewing it, making it better, boosting responses, and tracking your responses as well. Some of the other things that it can do is you can ask it to turn on, like you can see, so you'll get a notification if somebody responds to your form. So you can actually set that from Copilot as well. You don't need to find out where in the settings to do that. So very, very helpful. But once we've done this survey and we've sent it out and we're happy with it, what we can also do is use Copilot to help us analyze the survey. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this. We are going to go back to Copilot Chat, our trusty Copilot Chat. I'm going to go into the Analyst agent. So you'll see on the left-hand side, I have something here called Analyst. If you're not familiar with agents or what that means, Microsoft have created out-of-the-box agents that are pre-built for you to start using. These agents have different AI models. So for example, the analyst agent has a deep reasoning model, which means it can analyze very, very large, complicated, formatted Excel spreadsheets and other things as well, but spreadsheets is the main one that we tend to find is used. Whereas if you use Copilot Chat, it will still analyze an Excel spreadsheet, but it struggles with very large ones with lots of sheets and you've got lots of tables. It does struggle and it's not able to kind of review it. Whereas the analyst agent has a deep reasoning model where it can do that. So that's what we're going to use. You'll also see that you do have a researcher agent in here as well. So again, it's using a deep reasoning model where we've actually used the researcher agent, and I tell you to give this a go because you'll see it. If we've asked it to do research to help me create an AI strategy for a force and look at what other forces are doing and look at, what we can do within, with working with sensitive data, tell me everything about Microsoft and how it works, pull it into a report for me and help me do that research. So you could use Researcher to help you with some of the questions and the points that you've got in this chat today. So I highly recommend you give it a go. But what we're going to do is we're going to ask the analyst agent to help us analyze survey data. So I'm going to do my prompt, which is, I always sometimes like to start with hey, so we'll do that. Hey, can you help me to analyze this survey data? I need to understand key points, sentiment in open text, positive or negative. You'll notice spelling mistakes is fine because it's good for accessibility. For those who are dyslexic, it's great because you don't have to panic about getting spelling right. Sentiment in open text, positive or negative. Put the feedback into themes and also provide me with recommendations of things we can do to improve it based on the feedback. Then I want to give it a little bit of context. So you don't want to stop there necessarily. I need to share this with my key stakeholder who likes to the point, concise information. So that means it's when it pulls that response out, it's going to be concise to the point because I've given it that context. And then we're going to give it the survey data. I'm just going to choose any survey data here. So let's just choose this one. And then I'm going to ask an analyst agent to start analyzing it. And what you'll see is, and don't worry if it does take a little bit of time, I do have one that I created earlier, but you'll see it actually shows you its thinking. So it says, okay, we're analyzing the data. We're going through the Excel spreadsheet. This Excel spreadsheet actually is pretty simple, so it shouldn't take too long. It's analyzing it, it's processing open text responses. So you'll see step by step the actual kind of model thinking and working out. Even if there's errors in your spreadsheet or something doesn't work, we've seen it fix itself before where it's had read, oh, this didn't work, I'm going to try a different way and try another way of analyzing it. And so it kind of it fixes itself as well, which is pretty cool. So you'll see here, it's now said, here's a concise summary. Here is it's a Copilot survey insights. User frequency, people are using Copilot this often. Sentiment analysis is mostly positive. Key themes are this, recommendations. So I can then put this, again, I can put it into a PowerPoint slide. I could put it into a document, one-page summary, and then I've done that in a couple of seconds. And that would take 3 days from that HR women that we were working with. It took her 3 days to do it, which is it's not ideal. So you'll see here it's got my source, which is my survey data that I've asked it to look at. You can take it one step further and say, can you put the info in a pie chart? And it will create charts for you. And it does work with branding. So you can say, put this into these branded colors, and you can give it the hex codes of your branded colors. We've actually tested out with another force where I just asked it to make this into the branding of X force, and it did a pretty good job of looking at the website and actually turning it into like the blue colors for that particular force. So you can actually do that when you're creating the charts as well. But it's one to definitely have a look at. There's lots and lots of different use cases for the analyst agent. Analyzing survey data is just one that's come up across lots of different teams. But you'll see here, it's got my nice breakdown of the chart. I didn't actually tell it what to break down. So in here, I maybe could have said, break it down by usage or whatever it may be. So I'm just going to scroll down, and if you give it a second, there we go, it's created that little chart for me, and I can then change the colors. I can make it into a donut chart, whatever it is that I want to do. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, so we have 5 minutes left, and there's still a little bit to cover. So I'm just going to move swiftly. I do have another use case in here. So what we'll do is we'll just share all the slides with you so you can kind of see them. But we did want to talk a little bit about the building a business case for Copilot, and because it's all well and good kind of using Copilot to summarize information and to save you time on manual tasks and analyze information. But what does that actually mean? So we worked with Bedfordshire Police, and we ran a pilot with them for Microsoft 365 Copilot. And within just a couple of months, we found over an 800% return on investment compared to the cost of a license. And that's not just a number. So this turns into real world time and resources. So productivity gains are the equivalent of hiring 4 full-time officers without recruitment, training, or salary costs. It's the equivalent of 2,000 extra patrol hours, which puts into direct frontline visibility and presence. And alternatively, that turns into £165,000 of productivity savings. You can tell me how many police cars that is. But the idea is that this is productivity gains being unlocked through smarter working and not additional funding. And what's really powerful about this is how officers and staff were describing the change. So you'll see some quotes there from interviews that we've taken about how Copilot's helping them manage incidents faster, cut time on scrutiny reports, reducing the cognitive load in intelligence meetings because of the meeting minute functionality. And one officer said, "I pay for it myself," which really tells you on a personal level kind of how much impact this is having with staff. What we're also seeing is it's not really just about the time saving, but that time being reinvested into other things, which is really, really important. And especially when a time, with stretched budgets, lots and lots of demand increasing, this really provides a huge amount of value. And it's not just policing, we are seeing it across the board. So here you'll see NHS England, the central tenant for NHS England, have been using Copilot, finding over 3 hours a week saving. And UK government trial shows Copilot saved 26 minutes on average a day. So this is not being just, it's not just in police. We're seeing this now starting to be rolled out across healthcare. We work with councils quite a lot as well, who are consistently rolling out education, central government. So we are seeing the benefits come through. And lastly, before we finish, because I appreciate we do have 2 minutes left, but we just wanted to highlight some of the key things when you are building a bit of a case for Copilot. I'll go through this quite quickly. So pain points always start with the repetitive tasks. Usually those have a bigger time saving. Handovers, admin heavy tasks, where the pain is obvious. I know one time we kind of went into a room of social workers, and their biggest thing was meeting minutes. And I was like, let me show you how to do meeting minutes in 30 seconds. And they were like, oh my goodness, that's going to change my life. And it just really is a small thing, but it had such a big impact on their lives. Scenarios, don't talk about just the features, try and use real examples and real use cases, try to put it into stories rather than just here's a button, because the button will probably change over time. When you're looking at the benefits, try to calculate not just time saved, but where that time is being reinvested. So if you're saving 45 minutes per shift, is that being reinvested into officer training, case follow-up, like what's it going into? And that shows that it's helping to do better policing and not just efficiency. One thing just to consider is don't just focus on one particular use case. Try and join up multiple use cases in more of a storyline. The idea is that Copilot's not just your one-off helper, it's there to help with end-to-end processes throughout your shift. And compliance. So I did mention a couple of points on the compliance, but the idea is that implementing something like Copilot does support with reducing shadow AI use, which is what we've collected in interviews and surveys. People have commented to say, if I don't have this, I would just use ChatGPT. So that kind of reduces that risk. And when we are capturing use cases, CPS can absolutely help with this, but it's really great to kind of collect ideas in workshops, shadowing, we'll just spend a couple of hours with a team and kind of figure out what their biggest pain points are from there, go away, figure out the best Copilot feature or prompt, and then give them value straight away. So I wouldn't say let people just have a play with it. I would say go in with specific prompts and use cases so they can start seeing value straight away. And that would be some of the tips when it comes to building that business case. So with that, we've covered a few bits in there, lots and lots of questions. What we will do is review all the questions in the chat, and we'll make sure that we kind of respond to those. If you were interested in finding out more, if you were interested in getting our Beyond the Beat data sheet, you'll see the little fun pun we're doing there. This is a data sheet with the use cases from the customers that we've been working with who are happy to share those and the ROI and some of the prompts as well. So if you're looking for that sheet, please scan the QR code. There'll be a quick survey and we'll also be able to reach out regarding follow-up questions, links to our other webinars and more information as well. The next webinar that we have is all about the actual rollout. So how you can actually do this properly based on all our last kind of few years of learnings. And that is on the 4th of September. So we'll send out links. They're on our website as well. And if you do want to get in touch directly, you'll see my and Tyler's emails there. Please feel free to reach out and email and we'll get back to you. But hopefully it's been useful and you've seen some cool stuff. I'm sorry we didn't get through it. I don't know if we got through all the questions. We really put Harry to work here, but we'll try and answer them after the session as well. But thank you so much for listening. I hope it's been useful. Don't forget to scan the QR code and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much, everyone.